You are listening to the Push Media Podcast Network.
This is good shit.
Earlier today, I was driving in a parking lot, or as Uncle Cracker likes to call it, a paved paradise. So put up a parking lot. Bop, bop, bop. Bet you weren't expecting that shit out of the gate, huh? Uncle Cracker reference on your silly dumb head. Up top, too. Really keeping you on your toes here. So I'm driving through a parking lot, and I see a person in front of my car, not like about to get hit or anything, even though anytime you're in a parking lot, it feels like you're either about to hit or get hit by an elderly person. Point is, I'm looking at this person, and I notice they're probably a woman. I'm not here to gender because I know it's 2021, and that's completely immoral and not based in science at all. But this woman, I'm wondering, like, what's up? Why is she just standing there? And then I start to see her, like, inch a little closer to this trash can standing behind her. And then I'm like, is this woman sick? Like, does she need help? What's going on? And then she gets a little closer to the trash can. And what she does next, I can only describe as reaching her hand into the trash can. And it rustles around. Her arm does some good looking. She gets, let's just say she gets knuckle deep up in that trash can. You feel me? And then she pulls out a cup. And I go, oh no. I go, no, please, no. Don't, please. No, please, no, don't do this. And this woman pulls out a cup from the trash can with a straw in it. And I'm pleading with whatever God you may choose. Please, please, God, don't let this woman drink from the trash cup. Please don't let her drink from the trash cup. And unfortunately, this woman put that dirty trash straw in her mouth and sucked it. She sucked it good. She sucked it long, my friends. She sucked garbage through the trash cup straw, and I watched. And it didn't make me feel good. It actually made me feel very, very, very sad. Maybe some people enjoy watching people drink trash. I'm sure that's a fetish in parts of Germany. Not for me. I don't even like feet. I'm very manila with my shit. I don't like feet. I don't like trash drinking. And I don't like German shitting tables. Which are a thing. Feel free to look that up. It's the holidays after all. That last minute white elephant gift. You feel me? Get a German shitting table. New sponsor here at the program. That would be so hilarious. Oh my God. If anyone is in Germany, well, one, obviously leave. But two, reach out to all your shitting table contacts and see if they're interested in advertising across the pond. Anyway, so the woman drank trash. That's what she did. She drank liquid garbage, and I watched, and it made me feel bad. Now, it might have made me feel bad whenever, at any point of the year, but it really made me feel bad because it's cold outside. And when it's cold outside, I have this theory people are more charitable. They're more empathetic. I don't know why that is. Could be obviously the whole, Christmas thing that I explained is obviously about the return of God entering the human race, so we have to buy more toys. Makes perfect sense. If you wanted to take an evolutionary standpoint, you could argue people feel more empathetic, they're more charitable when it's cold outside because the living conditions, the environment that we all share is just more hostile. It's more difficult to just exist at certain parts of the year in our plane, sphere, whatever shape, flat, whatever you want to fucking call it, plane of existence. So people feel bad when they see it. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't think empathy is something that can be worked into a lot of explanations when it comes to evolution. Certainly not. I don't even know how that makes you feel, that statement that I just said. But to clarify, people that love to push evolution, that feel, and I'm not against evolution. I'm not stupid. I get it. I really, really do. There's some holes in it, though, and it's not gospel. And anyone who acts like it is, I got an Alanis Morissette song for you. But you can't rationalize empathy if you're going to take an evolutionary standpoint in anything, because there is no evolutionary benefit to empathy. Maybe if you wanted to argue like mothers within any type of species and their children having empathy helps, a race or a species perpetuate. Yeah, maybe, sure. But there's also animals that, the moms eat their kids. There's also people where the moms, buy their kids weapons and send them to school. More on that later. So when it's cold outside, people feel more charitable. So I don't know if watching that woman drink trash or the weather and it being cold outside had an impact on me making this decision, or it was a combination of both. But, later that day, I saw a homeless guy when I was walking into a 7-Eleven, and the homeless guy kind of like mumbled, how homeless people do. They're not generally they don't project, and they're not articulate in using words like verbose, not to generalize homeless people. But the one guy, I'm walking by, and he says, instead of like asking for money or anything, he's like, you have any food? Do you have any food? Do you have any extra food? And I don't know. I mean, I could have been in a particularly sentimental mood. I could have just watched a woman drink trash. It might have been cold outside. But either way, it was the perfect storm where I just felt so bad. I felt fucking devastated for this guy. And I'm so not on a soapbox. I usually don't give money to homeless people. Even when I have extra dollar bills I don't even want, that are an inconvenience to me in my pockets. Even if I'm with or in front of a group of people I really want to like me, I don't give money to homeless people, usually. But for some reason, this dude and this combination of the weather and the trash drinking woman, my heart broke for homeless people in that moment. So I go into the 7-Eleven, and I've decided I'm going to get this guy not only food, I'm going to get him a motherfucking meal. You feel me? So I'm walking around 7-Eleven trying to think, like, what's the most, like, nutritionally dense, well-rounded, option? Because I'm also still in a 7-Eleven, which is a terrifying business. Anytime you're in a 7-Eleven, it feels like it's about to be robbed. And all they sell is, like, dish soap and croissants or some shit. A very scary place. But, options are limited because COVID or whatever. Who knows? Anyway, I'm walking around 7-Eleven, and I decide on a sandwich. I'm like, a turkey sandwich is a good move. It was like an encased thing or whatever. So I get the turkey sandwich. I get a giant bottle of water, and I get a bag of chips. And I really labored over this decision. I was like thinking of, based on the personality of this homeless man that I exchanged 5 seconds with, what would be his favorite type of chip? What would be the correlation? Is this a salt and vinegar guy? Or is he an old-fashioned man? Likes his chips plain? What I do is I obviously make the decision to get Cheetos. Because, who doesn't love Cheetos? So I buy all the food. I walk outside. And I give the guy this big bag of food. And I say, good luck. Which I don't know if that was offensive. I don't know if that was distasteful. I don't know if that was the right thing to say. But it's genuinely what I felt when I did it. When I was giving him the food, I literally was thinking, like, this is what I can do. Good luck. You guys, sucks, but good luck here. And I labored over this decision, not to get the homeless guy food. I was going to do that. But I labored over the decision of me to tell anybody, to share it with anybody. Because my first immediate knee-jerk reaction is like, well, if you tell anybody this, kind of like the reverse of a birthday wish, it immediately undoes all the good charity. The 5 years of spiritual soul time that I just cut off my sentence of purgatory, I would immediately undo if I tell anyone about the fact I did anything good for a homeless person. Which is true, in large part. The purest form of giving is anonymous. I get all that. Don't lecture me, non-existent devil's advocate not with me while I record this. I do. I truly understand. And I agree for the most part. But also, and it occurred to me, and I could be wrong, a lot of things occur to me. I didn't know Alzheimer's wasn't pronounced old-timers until embarrassingly recently. But it occurred to me, why is that? Why does everyone say you shouldn't have people know about your acts of charity? Other than I get, anonymous, blah, 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 don't do for credit. But also, you could make a case that doing good things, doing acts of charity, just generally trying to be a little more selfless, if you share that, if you tell people, you could argue it would inspire them to do the same, right? I mean, am I wrong here? People love to raise awareness for everything. People go on marches, walks, runs. People walk in straight lines at all different types of speeds to raise awareness for things. Breast cancer, homeless gay children, all types of very important causes. So that's not really that different from letting someone know about an act of charity, because you're making them aware of the fact that they themselves very much have the same ability to perform an act of charity. Is it possible that the culture of keeping your acts of charity, of good deeds, of anything selfless, is not looked at least in America? I'm not sure about other countries. Doesn't stop me from speaking and making generalizations about them, but in this case, it's a very American thing to be selfish. Not even necessarily in a bad way, just to be self-serving, to only care about yourself, which in large part you very much should be oriented in that direction, because ain't nobody looking out for you. You know what I'm saying? Nobody cares about you. Most people will step on you to benefit them. The only people that won't, hopefully, are your family members, your mom. That's not always the case, though, because, some of your moms have met me. It's clear who their favorite is now. But for the most part, no one gives a shit about you. That's a very American thing. And anytime you commit an act of charity, you do something good for someone else where you act purely in a selfless nature, it's kind of un-American, right? It kind of goes against the grain. It's not what it's not what you're told is how this game works. It's not how you're rewarded. You're rewarded looking out for numero uno. You're not rewarded being a selfless person. How much money social workers make? Teachers. And then and then I go deeper and I think about it a little more, and I'm like, and I'm not just looking for a pat on the back because I spent $9 on a homeless person who has to live outside. But is it possible we have a culture that kind of, actually, it's a fact, I think I could say, just let me zoom out a little bit. It's a fact that we live in a society in which certain disenfranchised groups are not cared about, and there are not plans to care about them any point in the future. The homelessness problem in this country has really reached a boiling point. It's always been a problem. Don't get me wrong. It's probably always been a problem throughout history and as long as there's been cultures and civilizations. But it's always been a problem in America. But it's particularly become a problem over the last, 3 years, 4 years? Probably 3. So I say again, if you were to do an act of good deeds for somebody, particularly, let's just say a homeless person, wouldn't telling people about it at the very least be raising awareness of a problem? Anybody who makes any type of effort, no matter how small, inconsequential, minuscule, at least they made an effort, right? And if they made an effort, let people know they made an effort. Make people aware of the fact they have the same exact ability to make a small effort themselves. And not to get too after school specially on you, if enough people make enough small efforts, what do we have? Potentially a solution. And I'm sure it's just my conspiratorial brain, but I just can't help but feel like there's some link between this culture of American selfishness, and not even selfishness in a bad way, but just the fact that we have a culture that celebrates and just champions people looking out for themselves, which, right on, I get it, I do, believe me, I do it too, I get it. But we also have a culture of groups of people being so fucked with no plans of unfucking. And then we have this thing where we're not supposed to, we do anything good, we do anything selfless, we do anything for anybody else. It is only right that we keep it to ourselves, that's a vow of silence. We shall not share our good deeds with anyone. We will take this to the grave. I just can't help but think we're misfiring here. What we think is noble, it has gone too far. We should share good deeds with people because people might then do them themselves. It shouldn't be wrong to share the fact you did a good thing. It's that simple, at least to me. Doesn't it seem a little strange that like it's uncouth? It's a faux pas for you to let anyone know you did something good. You bought a homeless guy a sandwich. You gave somebody $1. Anything. You volunteered an hour at a soup. Literally anything. Toys for Tots or something. I don't know. Maybe if that's still a thing. Point is, if you do something good, why are we taught that it's right to not tell anybody? I don't know. I could be grasping at straws. I don't know. But it feels like there's something there. I can't put my finger on it, but I've explained many a times, if it feels like there's something there and you can't put your finger on it, at least for me, that's kind of my jumping off point for there being something there. Speaking of something there, Michigan. Okay. It is a very serious thing that just happened. I don't want to make light of it at all. I really don't. I don't want to make jokes because it is serious. The school shooting that happened in Michigan, 4 students were killed, including a teacher. That's 4 parents who lost a kid, whether they were an elementary school student or an elementary school teacher. It's a very sad thing. Now, I think it seems a little suspicious, to put it that way, for a couple of reasons. And obviously, to clarify one more time, I'm not saying it was faked. I'm not saying people weren't murdered, because they very much were, and someone should be brought to justice. Who should be brought to justice has become a unchartedly gray area in this specific case, because the parents of the shooter, Ethan Crumley, who, and this is going to be one of the few jokes in this, big thought here, I promise. Ethan Crumley is the name of a school shooter, if I have ever seen one. If you have a child named Ethan Crumley, you shouldn't, okay? If your name is Ethan Crumley, you shouldn't even be allowed to play video games that use the word gun. You shouldn't be allowed to understand that there were once cowboys and Indians. You shouldn't know anything to do with any type of weapon that discharges ammunition. You feel me? Ethan Crumley? You cannot be named that and think that kid will be normal. Back to the story. So Ethan's parents first they tried to run and flee to Canada, which, that's hilarious. And they probably weren't allowed in because they're not vaccinated. Boy, that's ironic. But Ethan's parents were arrested and charged with manslaughter. The parents of the kid who committed the school shooting in Michigan were charged with the crime. And obviously Ethan was too, and he's in jail right now, but he's a minor, but that doesn't change the fact he's the guy who did it. Or does it? Because it seems like, and I am so not on the side of parents who have a kid named Ethan Crumley. I'm so not on the side of bad parents, really, ever. But, and I know this is back-to-back episodes of me taking unpopular, albeit legally correct opinions, I might add. His parents are not guilty of his crimes. This is a very slippery slope. I know I said Kyle Rittenhouse's mom is really the one who's to blame here. And that just goes to show me and my stupid dumb face, you really got to be careful with what you say and wish for, because not long after that statement of mine, all of a sudden I am faced with the albeit very real, tangible situation in the world where all of a sudden the legal system is actually holding someone's parents accountable for a crime their child committed. So I got to think about that, and it's not right. That's not how this goes. That's not how this works. And in terms of, actually who is culpable, I am really pointing a lot of blame at these fucking idiots. But legally, what is on paper as law, they did not commit. They themselves did not pull a trigger that killed people. We cannot charge people for association with crime. Unless you're in the mob and Rico, congratulations, Al Capone or whatever. Fuck yourself. I was on the side of the mafia. But we can't... what I'm getting at here is this is a classic case of where does it end? Slippery slopes are slippery. Because if we suddenly make parents of people who commit crimes responsible for crimes, oh boy, does that stand to really fuck over a lot of historically disenfranchised groups, huh? Think about it. I'm not going to sit here and quote crime statistics specifically broken down by ethnicity, but if we suddenly start charging the parents of people who commit crimes disproportionately, my friends, people are going to end up in jail who really don't belong there. And we already have a problem with that. Hate to remind you, jail is full of people who don't belong there. Right now. Yeah. I'm not going to say most, but there's a hell lot more than some in jail who probably shouldn't or don't deserve to actually be there. Laws are laws for a reason. If we are to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, which you should, otherwise you're a sad person, the laws were created by people who specialize in laws, by people who really understand what words mean, especially when you put them in a certain order. You feel me? You as a person are an emotional being because all people are emotional. Laws are not supposed to be. In fact, laws are supposed to be the opposite of emotional. They're supposed to be ethical, but there's a difference between ethics and morals. I'm not going to try and explain it because, quite frankly, I don't know. But I said that. Laws are put together by experts, hopefully. But let's just believe that because we should. The alternative is scary. We're not lawyers. We're not judges. We're not people involved in the legal system in large part. We're just people with emotions reacting to things we find out. And our emotions can be wrong. They can be misleading. They can be inaccurate. They can be misrepresented. You know what I'm saying? So if you hear about this school shooting and you hear all this bullshit about the mom texting the kid, don't do it, or the fact that dad bought the 15-year-old a gun, pretty much encouraged sharpshooting in the home. Your gut reaction as a person who just feels is going to be, yeah, fuck those parents, lock them up. They're just as much to blame, if not more. Yeah, that might be right. That might be true. But it's not legally the case because they themselves did not do what the law says they are charged with breaking. This is such a hard and unpopular position to take. But a little bit of information for you. The ones that are very hard to take are the ones worth taking. It's very difficult to say these parents do not deserve to be in jail because I, in my heart, believe they do. But I know I am emotional about it because I can't help it. I know I'm actually an extremely emotional person, probably more than I should be and more that's good for me. So I know I shouldn't make the judgment call there. I know I should defer to what's written down, to what the law is. And the way to make a law is not fucking easy. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a very difficult process, which is good. It should be. It should be very difficult to pass a law. But once we do, we should adhere to it. You know, if we let our emotions decide legislation, unfortunately, look up, you're in North Korea. You know what I'm saying? That's not how this works. I love the feeling of no matter how you feel about it, this is what's written down. This is the law. Fuck your feelings. These are facts. Now, a lot of times that's easy to say. Few times it's very difficult to say. And it's very difficult to even say to myself. Because these parents are fucked. They're very bad people. They allowed a kid to be named Ethan Crumley. They lived in Florida. Yes, Florida. And then if you want to get real crazy with it, I'm not saying I am. You could look into the dad. You could wonder why he was a software engineer that specialized in GPS tracking technology. That seems a little suspicious. Hasn't been a school shooting in a while. It seems weird that one happened right now. What's going on with the Ghislaine Maxwell trial? I'm not being that guy. I'm just saying, I might be wrong, but I'm not lying. Point I'm trying to make is you have to separate how you feel from what you think should happen. Because like I said earlier, we live in a culture that is highly influential. Probably the most influential culture that has ever existed. And within that culture, a very large tenet is that selfishness is rewarded. That you should look out for you. That you know what's best for you. That you are always right. Your feelings are right because they're yours. They must be. But we know, deep down that's not the case. You're not always right. This whole spinning plate situation we call a society only exists when we care about each other. When we know our weakest link is as strong as we all are. Not to get all Ted Lasso-y on you, because boy, did that take a fucking critical garbage trash dump. And it's not even a bad show. It's nice. Why does everyone hate nice shit? What's the problem with that? I think that also has something to do with this culture of keeping good acts of charity silent to ourselves. People just shit on something that's just nice. Not everything has to be a tragedy. Not everything has to be a depiction of war, a John Wick movie, a shoot 'em up, a Call of Duty game, a Grand Theft Auto mission. Not everything has to be so violent and self-serving. I can't believe I'm being this guy right now, Mike. It's almost gross to me. But can't we all just get along? Can't we just be nice? Can't we just appreciate nice? Can't we just like nice? Can't we just like nice? It's cool to be nice. It really is. It's not cool to be self-serving. It might be rewarded. And some would argue, me included, that in and of itself may be a mechanism in place to continually fuck ourselves on loop. But if you want to be a better person, if you want to try and do better, I would say the first step would be incorporating a little self-awareness. And once you do that, you would then understand that you are an emotional person. So therefore, any reaction you have to anything is emotional. And that should not be carried into a court of law. Only a law should be carried into a court of law. Only laws should deal with crimes, not our emotions. That sucks. That's hard to hear sometimes, but it's true. If we let our emotions decide what should happen instead of law, we have a mob. We have a group of people with pitchforks. We have people turning in their neighbors because the SS told them so. We have, you see where this could lead to very, very easily? It sucks. It's very unfortunate. It's sad what happened. It's sad that there are parents bad enough to do this. It's sad that there's kids disturbed enough to want to kill kids. But justice, or whatever our best effort at justice is, I promise you the most correct way to do it is to follow what's written down. It's not to go off your gut reaction. You should always take a minute before you speak. I know all of this is rich coming from me. You should always take a minute before you feel, too. And I know that's hard, and a lot of that's out of your hands. You have emotions, and they're involuntary. But after you find something out, have your reaction. But then think about it. Think about the implications of it. If your knee-jerk reaction is lock up everyone involved, okay, well, what are the implications of that? Well, suddenly there's precedent to lock up anyone associated with the crime. Is the mom of the kid who shot up Columbine High School, should she be in jail? She had a fucking TED Talk. You don't know what's best. You might be one of the people who do. But then go to law school, become a lawyer, get elected to Congress, and join the process that's very difficult to make a law. Because if you don't, and you're telling a judge what should happen, there's no other way to describe you than a member of a mob. Mob rule is bad. There's a reason we don't like the word mob. There's a reason we call the mafia the mob. Because it's bad. Even though I love the mafia, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But I will say this. If you want to feel good, if you like the emotion of feeling good, do something for somebody else. And now here's a real controversial statement. Do something for somebody else, and then I want you to tell everyone about it. I want you to scream from the mountaintop, you did a good thing. You bought a sandwich for a homeless person. You gave $1 to somebody. You volunteered at a soup kitchen. You did whatever. You did an act of charity. I want you to scream it. I want you to let everyone know that you have ever met in your life you did something good. Because maybe that person will want to feel that same way. They'll see how good you feel, and they'll say, hey, I want some of that. And then they'll go do something good. And then they'll have their time on the mountaintop to scream, I'm a great person. And then eventually, if everyone wants their turn on the mountaintop, if everyone wants to scream, I'm a great person, if we do that enough, if enough people get their turn, suddenly there won't be problems that people need to do charity for, to solve. And then we'll all be on the mountaintop, which is good because shit is fucked down below.